to see everybody. Or this morning. I'm actually physically in Indiana, so afternoon here, but morning for our West Coast folks. And Rachel, I just want to give a shout out to Cecily's Closet too, because I've also seen Alex's room and it's absolutely incredible. And having had the experience myself of having a kid with medical needs and our house looking like a hospital, the fact that you can have a home again is just so important. And thank you for all that you do. All right. Well, I am going to share my screen. Oh, I'm going to, yes, there we go. Thank you. All right. So I am Lindsay Zehren from Resounding Joy. We are a music therapy not-for-profit celebrating our 20th year in San Diego and also supporting other places throughout the country. Just a little bit about me and my background. This is my family up at the top, my daughters Zoe and Frankie and my husband Zach. Frankie was born in 2020 with several medical complications and had several birth defects in her larynx. So she is down here in this picture. She had a G-tube for several years, and this all happened after I had been a music therapist for about 8 years, and so I had experienced all of these things on the other side, and then got to also experience them as a parent, which was very profound in my practice. And then I had to throw a picture of me and Alex in here. Alex and I have been making music together for 10 years now. So he's just an incredible person and a very special person to me, as everyone in your family is, Caroline. So thank you for having me here today. At Resounding Joy, our mission is to enhance the human experience through therapeutic applications of music. This could be music therapy. This could be sound healing, as Rachel mentioned, with crystal bowls, or sound healing with drums, different things like that. Could also be recreational music experiences like drum circles and other ways to get people involved. Could be music lessons and learning how to play an instrument. I'm going to brag on Caroline and say that she is becoming quite an excellent guitar player over the past decade as well. So our services support and enhance the human experience for everyone in the family that we come in contact with. And for those of you not familiar with music therapy is a clinical medical profession. It is clinical and evidence-based use of music to accomplish individualized goals. So it's very similar to occupational therapy in that we're going to be doing things with music instruments that are going to help you in your daily life, whether that's helping you hold a fork a little bit stronger by using mallets, different drum mallets and different string instruments to develop finger muscles, or whether it's using harmonica to develop your lungs and your breath support and strength so that you can project your voice. We're using music as our tool. Music is never the end goal. So we're not looking at someone learning to play an instrument well. We're not hoping for Carnegie Hall necessarily. We're just hoping that you can use music in your life to help enhance it in some way. So we're looking at music for different goals in music therapy, and that can be goals that are related to memory, communication, speech, motor skills, socialization, decreasing stress, anxiety, and pain, helping to improve coping and resilience, and then really looking at that general quality of life and health and wellness. Resounding Joy was founded in 2004 by Barbara Royer in San Diego. We are currently serving Southern California. I am here. I opened a satellite in central Indiana. We're just north of Indianapolis. So we're here supporting the Midwest. And then we also have an office now on the East Coast in Massachusetts. And we do a lot of telehealth. We've been supporting people really since the pandemic kind of opened up that door for us. So internationally across the world through telehealth. And we support individuals and groups through music therapy who may be unable to afford music therapy services otherwise. So we don't always, insurance is sometimes an issue for people. We work around that. We primarily work through grants, foundations, donations, and sponsorships to help bring this supportive service to families. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. I apologize. So we have 4 main programs that we have at Resounding Joy, and I'm going to give you just a little overview of each of them and how we use music to reach some of these goals. And you'll see how Across the board, even though we support people all ages, all diagnoses, and all stages of life, a lot of what we do does touch the lives of individuals with undiagnosed challenges as well as these rare diagnoses. Our Sounds of Community program, we partner with local agencies to amplify community health and wellness. So this is big drum circles, ways to promote music for happiness and resilience, and ways to get the community together making music. Our Sounds of Healing program helps to support psychological and social emotional wellness, as well as physical and overall health for children facing rare diagnoses and mental health diagnoses, and to support their families. In this program, we really do a lot of work with the family unit. We support people in their homes or in hospitals and different facilities. So we're going to come and meet you where you are, and then we're going to help the family to use music wherever they need it. If that's transition times, if bedtime is rough, we're going to help you use music then. If it's taking medications, we're going to help use music for that. In my household, it was Frankie's feeding frenzy playlist that we had to put on when it was time for her to eat, and it was music that calmed the whole house down. So all these different tools and tricks, we're all using music in our daily lives in some way. So it's helping people to understand how music is really working and how they can use it in their daily lives a little more intentionally. And then Sounds of Legacy supports older adults mainly with neurodegenerative diagnoses and cognitive diagnoses. And then our last program, Sounds of Service, supports active duty military, first responders, and veterans. Why music? Why do we use music to do this? Why is it so well suited to reach these goals? The elements of music help us to reach these goals. And all of these building blocks are excellent resources and ways, tools and tricks to help us to get to where we want to be in meeting our goals and beating some of these challenges. So we're going to be looking at rhythm and tempo, melody and harmony, dynamics and timbre, and texture and form to talk a little bit about how music can help everyone in their lives and how we use it in music therapy. So with memory and cognition, musical memories survive longer. The best example of this is the alphabet. That's why we put it to music. So in school, mnemonic devices and memory devices that help us remember things are often set to music or to rhythm, because we know now that our brain is going to be able to better recall those if they're set to that music or that rhythm. Music also aids in learning and retaining and recalling memories. Focus, all of these different things happen in music. There's actually, this last bullet point is a very new research article just in the past few weeks, that music has been shown to actually delay and decelerate neurodegeneration in individuals with Alzheimer's, which is huge. And the reason this is happening is because, not to get too technical, but music is the only thing that we do as humans that lights up the whole brain all at once. So whereas if I'm talking to you, I'm just lighting up one little part of my brain, or walking is one part, music is the whole brain. Because of this, music is a great tool for neuroplasticity, which means that music can help us to change our brain over time. So it can work around disease, it can work around damage, different things to help us get back to thriving, back to a place where we can thrive. So that's how music is helping with that. Communication and speech. This is a big thing that we do in music therapy. This is probably one of my main areas that I focus on, is how we can use music to help people express themselves. And that may be verbally, that may be with an eye gaze device. But in either of those ways, music prompts that communication. So whether that, again, is with speech or with a technological device, we can use music to help spur that communication from people. Socialization is a huge one. Music is just an inherently social activity. It gets people communicating with each other. It gets people having conversations that are difficult. It helps to validate emotions and feelings that we might have because, oh, hey, this other person might be feeling it too. So music is a very powerful thing in that. And then also how we get to interact with other people when we make music. For our families that we work with rare or undiagnosed, excuse me, Diseases, this is a big piece too. And I know Rachel talked a little bit about siblings. We do a lot of work with siblings in this section as well with socialization. So how to not only get the sibling to have some attention and something fun for them to do too, maybe learning how to play an instrument or getting them involved in another way. But this can also help them to express how they're feeling in the situation as well and get siblings bonding a little bit more. So it's not just socialization outside of the family, it's family bonding as well that happens within music. For motor skills are a big thing we do with music, whether that's our gross motor skills, so our big movements, or fine motor skills with those small movements used for activities of daily living. Music can help with all of that. So I'm using instruments that are going to encourage the motion that I want to see, whether that's putting on a seatbelt and I have like a tambourine behind me and a drum in front, so that you have to do this motion with your shoulder and create strength in the shoulder girdle. That is one example. Another example might be, as I mentioned earlier, learning to play piano or guitar to help with finger strength and dexterity. So all of these things happen within sessions, and it's very individually based. So wherever that individual is that day, that's where we're going to meet them, and we're going to use all of these things to help them with those goals. A lot of this goes back to, again, that rhythm piece of music and how everything we do as humans is very rhythmic. The way that I'm talking to you right now, the way that we move, it's all patterns of rhythm. So our brain likes that. And when we can put those patterns of rhythm to music, it helps to accelerate a lot of the impact for some of these other exercises in things like physical therapy and occupational therapy and speech therapy. So that being said, we often pair with other therapists as well to provide these services because it helps to deepen the impact. So I've done lots of co-treating with other therapists where we bring music in to help deepen that. Rachel mentioned earlier the bowls. So if you're not familiar with crystal bowls, this is a picture of them right here. But music therapy also helps a lot with decreasing stress, anxiety, and pain. So there's a lot of research in this area, and probably individually in this group, this is the area where we use music the most for ourselves. So if you think about the times when your kids just will not go to sleep and we sing lullabies, it's very scientific why and biological why those lullabies work. So lullabies are written in a way that make us want to rock. It's a time signature that's called 6/8, and it just makes us want to rock back and forth. From the dawn of time, this is how lullabies were written, because it makes us move that way. Just like marches are made in a time signature, it's called 2/4, where you just 1, 2, 1, 2. It's purposeful. So because of that, we know that we can use music to bring down people's heart rate, respiratory rate, and blood pressure just by the rate of tempo in the music, just by how fast the music is. So I can connect with someone's heartbeat right away, and then I can help to lower that down. When that happens, we're bringing down stress, we're bringing down anxiety, and hopefully some of that pain is coming down with it as well. So that in music therapy is called entrainment, the idea that our bodies start to match the music that we're listening to. And it might be how we're feeling. Yes, I'm sure some of you have turned on some like metal music at one point in your life and felt a little angsty. There are moments that call for that. But we also know that we can turn this calmer music on and help us to help bring it down. And now science is catching up to understanding why that is. And it's this idea of entrainment that our bodies start to match this music over time. And it's not just a feeling or emotional thing, it's an actual anatomical, biological thing that's happening in our bodies to come down. Coping and resilience is another big one. Life is challenging, and with children with special needs, it's even more challenging. So how can we use music to help build resilience, not just for your child, but for your other children and for you, because you deserve it, because you are a person. So I do a lot of work with parents as well. My daughter is thankfully doing really well after some major surgeries last year that reconstructed some things with her larynx. And one of the ways that I like to give back now is helping parents, because it was very tough to be on that other end of things for me. And so music in this arena is really important. How we can use music to help us express what the feelings and the tough stuff, all the worries and fears that we have going on, but also then look at that and move past it. So music is a great way to do that. We pair it with a lot of breathing techniques. I'm also a yoga teacher, so I pair it with yoga a lot too for people. Just different ways to get your body to kind of be present and mindful, but also to thrive in that present, to thrive in that mindful moment. And again, music super helpful to get us there. And because we can help bring down that stress and anxiety and depression and pain, we can bring that down to get to a point where we can focus on this coping and resilience piece. I wanted to share a story too. So this is a dear sweet friend. This is Vivian. Vivian and I made music together several years ago now. And she had a very rare, it was undiagnosed until the very end of her life. It was a brain tumor. And Vivian, when I met her, was unable to speak. She had progressed to the point where she was not speaking and had a lot to say. And so working with her, we worked with the keyboard, we worked with the harmonica, and then we worked with the drum called a happy drum, which is, it sounds a lot like, kind of like very deep wind chimes that you can play and be in control of. And it sounds beautiful no matter which ones you play. And through those three things, the harmonica especially, we were able to get her lung capacity up to the point where she was able to sing for a short amount of time. And we were able to record her singing. And we were also able to use a special microphone that is connected to a stethoscope where we recorded her heartbeat. And we were able to use the heartbeat as a drum track. And her and her brother were able to write a song together. So in the recording for her family before she passed away, she did have the drum track of her heartbeat, and her voice is also on there, the recordings that we were able to get. So just an example of not just that, the legacy piece of it that is so important. And now her family has that gift that they will have forever. And that Vivian was able to leave that legacy for her family, but also all of those memories that were made leading up to that legacy gift were not medical. So there was laughter in that room. There was a lot of playing. There was a lot of creating. There were a lot of things that in that moment made it not seem like it was an end of life experience for this family. So music is powerful in that it can do that. It can take us kind of out of that moment of direness and more into this moment of how can we thrive? Because when it boils down to it, none of us know how much time we have. And so making this time really count is really beautiful. And I feel so fortunate that that's what I get to do every day of my life with families, is giving them hopefully a gift where they have a moment to make music and enjoy and create together and not focus on the medical needs at that exact time. But this is my contact info. I will say, for those of you, we do have office locations in San Diego. If you're in San Diego, we are there. We would love to support your family or to support other families that you support. Rachel, I think you and I are going to need to chat. But I also, we work, as I said, mainly through grants. So please feel free to email me, reach out. If we cannot put you under a grant, we try to find sponsorships or other ways. And then we do have a sliding scale that we operate on outside of that. But my job is to figure out how to get you music therapy as a supportive service if that's